Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Teacher at Home. Today, class, we are going to learn the fourth chapter Food Security in India. Overview. Food security means availability, accessibility, and affordability of food to all people at all times. The poor households are more vulnerable to food insecurity whenever there is a problem of production, distribution of food crops. Food security depends on the public distribution system, PDS, and government vigilance and action at times when this security is threatened. What is food security? Food is as essential for living as air is for breathing. But food security means something more than getting two square meals. Food security has following dimensions. Availability of food means food production within the country, food imports, and the previous year's stock stored in government granaries. Accessibility means food is within reach of every person. Affordability implies that an individual has enough money to buy sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to meet one's dietary needs. Thus, food security is ensured in a country only if enough food is available for all the persons. All persons have the capacity to buy food of acceptable quality, and there is no barrier on access to food. Why food security? The poorer section of the society might be food insecure most of the times, while persons above the poverty line might also be food insecure when the country faces a national disaster, calamity like earthquake, drought, flood, tsunami, widespread failure of crops causing famine, etc. In the 1970s, food security was understood as the availability at all times of adequate supply of basic foodstuffs. Amartya Sen, that is in 1975, added a new dimensions to food security and emphasized the access to food through which he called entitlements. A combination of what one can produce, exchange in the market along with state or other socially provided supplies. Accordingly, there had been a substantial shift in the understanding of food security. The 1995 World Food Summit food security declared the food security uh, at the individual household, regional, national, and global levels exists when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food preferences to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. FAO 1996. The declaration further recognizes that poverty eradication is essential to improve access to food. How is food security affected during a calamity? Due to a natural calamity, say drought, total production of food grain decreases. It creates a shortage of food in the affected areas. Due to shortage of food, the prices goes up. At the high prices, some people cannot afford to buy food. If such calamity happens in a wide spread area or is stretched over a long time period, it may cause a situation of starvation. A massive starvation might take a turn of famine. A famine is characterized by widespread death due to starvation and epidemics caused by forced use of contaminated water or decaying food and loss of body resistance due to weakening from starvation. The most devastating famine that occurred in India was the famine of Bengal 1943. This famine killed 30 lakh people in the province of Bengal. Do you know who were affected by most of the famine? Agricultural laborers, fishermen, transport workers, and other casual laborers were affected the most by dramatically increasing the price of rice. They were the ones who died in this famine. Some people say the Bengal famine happened because there was a shortage of rice. Study the table and find out whether you agree with this statement, which year shows a drastic decline in food availability. During the Bengal famine of 1943, a family left its village in Chittagong district in Bengal. What you see in this picture, which age group are seen in the first in the picture? Can you say that the family shown in the picture is a poor family? Can you imagine the source of livelihood of the people shown in two pictures before the occurrence of famine in the context of the village? Find out what type of help is given to the victims of the natural calamity at a relief camp. Have you ever helped such victims? Project work gather more information about famine in India. Nothing like Bengal famine has happened in India again. It is, however, distributing to note that even today famine like conditions exist in many parts of the country, leading to starvation death at times. Natural calamities and pandemics may also lead to food shortage. For example, COVID-19 pandemic had an adverse impact upon the food security. Restriction on movement of people and goods and services impacted economic activity. Therefore, food security is needed in a country to ensure food at all times, including calamities and pandemics. Who are food insecure? Although a large section of people suffer from food and nutrition insecurity in India, the worst affected groups are landless people with little or no land to depend upon. Traditional artisans, providers to traditional services, pretty self employed workers, and destitutes, including beggars. In the urban areas, the food insecure families are those whose working members are generally employed in ill paid occupations and casual labor market. These workers are largely engaged in seasonal activities and are paid very low wages that just ensure bare survival. Story of Ramu. Ramu works as a casual laborer in agriculture in Raipur village. His eldest son, Somu, who is 10 years old, also works as a pali to look after the cattle of the Sarpanch of the village Satpal Singh. Somu is employed for the whole year by the Sarpanch and is paid a sum of rupees 1000 for his work. Ramu has three more sons and two daughters, but they are too young to work on the field. His wife, Sunari, is also part time, working as house cleaner for the livestock, removing and managing cow dung. She gets half liter milk and some cooked food along with vegetables for her daily work. Besides, she also works in the field along with her husband in the busy season and supplements his earnings. Agriculture, being a seasonal activity, employs Ramu only during times of sowing, transplanting, and harvesting. He remains unemployed for about 4 months during the period of plant consolidation and maturing in a year. He looks for work in other activities. Sometimes he gets employment in bricklaying and in construction activities in the village. By all his efforts, Ramu is able to earn enough either in cash or kind for him to buy essential for 2 square meals of his family. However, during this day, when he is unable to get some work, he had his family. Had his family really face difficulties and sometimes his small kids have to sleep without food. Milk and vegetables are not a regular part of meals in the family. Ramu is food insecure during 4 months when he remains unemployed because of the seasonal nature of agriculture work. Why is agriculture a seasonal activity? Why is Ramu unemployed for about 4 months in a year? What does Ramu do when he is unemployed? Was supplementing income in Ramu's family? Why does Ramu face difficulty when he is unable to have work? When is Ramu food insecure? Story of Ahmad. Ahmad is a rickshaw puller in Bangalore. He has shifted from Jumri Italia along with his three brothers, two sisters, and old parents. He stays in a jungi. The survival of all members of his family depends on the daily earnings from pulling rickshaw. However, he does not have a secured employment and his earnings fluctuate every day. During some days, he gets enough earning for him to save some amount after buying all his day-to-day necessities. On other days, he barely earns enough to buy his daily necessities. However, fortunately, Ahmad has a yellow card, which is PDS card for below poverty line people. With this card, Ahmad gets sufficient quantity of wheat, rice, sugar, and kerosene oil for his daily use. He gets this essential at half of the market price. He purchases his monthly stock. He purchases his monthly stock during a particular day when the ration shop is open for below poverty people. In this way, Ahmad is able to eke out his survival with less than sufficient earnings for his big family, where he is the only earning member. Does Ahmed have a regular income from rickshaw pulling? How does the yellow card help Ahmed run his family even with small earnings from rickshaw pulling? The social composition, along with the inability to buy food, also plays a role in food insecurity. The SCs, STs, and some sections of the OBCs who have either poor land base or very low land productivity and prone to food insecurity. The people affected by natural disasters who have to migrate to other areas in search of work are also among the most food insecure people. A high incidence of malnutrition prevails among women. This is a matter of serious concern as it puts even the unknown baby at the risk of malnutrition. A large proportion of pregnant and nursing mothers and children under the age of 5 years constitute an important segment of the food insecure population. According to the National Health and Family Survey, NHFS 1998-99, the number of such women and children is approximately 11 crore. The food insecure people are disproportionately large in some regions of the country, such as economically backward states with a high incidence of poverty, tribal and remote areas, regions more prone to natural disasters, etc. In fact, the state of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, parts of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra account for largest number of food insecure people in the country. Hunger is another aspect indicating food insecurity. Hunger is not just an expression of poverty, it brings about poverty. The attainment of food security therefore involves eliminating current hunger and reducing the risk of future hunger. Hunger has chronic and seasonal dimensions. Chronic hunger is a consequence of diets persistently inadequate in terms of quantity and of quality. Poor people suffer from chronic hunger because of their very low income and in turn inability to buy food even for survival. Seasonal hunger is related to the cycles of food growing and harvesting. This is prevalent in rural areas because of the seasonal nature of agricultural activities and in urban areas because of casual laborers. There is less work for casual construction laborers during the rainy season. This type of hunger exists when a person is unable to get work for the entire year. The percentage of seasonal as well as the chronic hunger has declined in India as shown in the above table. India is aiming at self sufficiency in food grains since independence. After independence, Indian policymakers adopted all measures to achieve self sufficiency in food grains. India adopted a new strategy in agriculture which resulted in green revolution, especially in the production of wheat and rice. Indira Gandhi, then the Prime Minister of India, officially recorded the impressive strides of green revolution in agriculture by releasing a special stamp entitled Wheat Revolution in July 1968. The success of wheat was later replicated in rice. The increase in food grains was, however, disproportionate. Highest rate of growth was achieved in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, which was 44.01 and 30.21 million tons in 2015 to 16. The total food grain production was 252.22 million tons in 2016-15 and India has changed to 275.68 million tons in 2016-17. Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh recorded significant production in the field of wheat, which was 26.87, 17.69 million tons in 2015-16 respectively. West Bengal and UP, on the other hand, recorded significant production of rice, 15.75, 12.51 million tons in 2015-16 respectively. Food security visits some farms in the nearby village and collect the details of food crops cultivated by the farmers. Food security in India. Since the advent of the Green Revolution in the early 1970s, the country has avoided famine even during adverse weather conditions. India has become self sufficient in food grains during the last 30 years because of the variety of crops grown all over the country. Availability of food grains at the country. In which year did your country cross the 200 million ton per year mark in food grain production? In which decade did India experience the highest decadal increase in food grain production? Is production increase consistent in India since 2000-2001? Level has further been ensured with a carefully designed food security system by the government. This system has two components, that is a buffer stock and the public distribution system. What is buffer stock? Buffer stock is a stock of food grains, namely wheat and rice, procured by the government through the Food Corporation of India. The FCI purchases wheat and rice from the farmers in states where there is surplus production. The farmers are paid an announced price for their crops. This price is called minimum support price MSP. The MSP is declared by the government every year before the sowing season to provide incentives to farmers for raising the production of the crops. For production of crops, the purchased food grains are stored in granaries. Do you know why this buffer stock is created by the government? This is done to distribute food grains in the deficit areas and among the poorest strata to the society at a price lower than the market price, also known as issue price. This also helps to resolve the problem of shortage of food during adverse weather conditions or during the periods of calamity. What is the public distribution system? The food procured by the FCI is distributed through government regulated ration shops among the poorer section of the society. This is called the public distribution system. Ration shops are now present in most localities, villages, towns, and cities. There are about 5.5 lakh ration shops all over the country. Ration shops, also known as the fair price shops, keep stock of food grains, sugar, and kerosene for cooking. These items are sold to people at a price lower than the market price. Any family with a ration card can buy a stipulated amount of these items. Example, 35 kg of grains, 5 liters of kerosene, 5 kg of sugar, etc. every month from the nearby ration shop. There are three kinds of ration cards, that is, Antyodaya cards for the poorest of the poor, BPL cards for the below poverty line, and APL for the cards for all others. Visit your area's ration shop and get the following details. When does the ration shop open? What are the items sold at the ration shop? Compare the prices of rice and sugar from the ration shop with the prices at any other grocery shop. Find out, do you have a ration card? What has your family recently brought about this card from the ration shop? Then, are there any problems that they face? Why are ration shops necessary? The introduction of rationing in India dates back to the 1940s against the backdrop of the Bengal famine. The rationing system was revived in the wake of an acute food shortage during the 1960s prior to the Green Revolution. In the wake of the high incidence of poverty levels, as reported by the NSSO in the mid 1970s, three important food intervention programs were introduced: Public Distribution System (PDS) for food grains, in existence earlier but strengthened thereafter; Integrated Child Development Services (ICDS), introduced in 1975 on an experimental basis; and Food for Work (FFW). Over the years, several new programs have been launched and some have been restructured with the growing experience of administering the programs. At present, there are several poverty alleviation programs, mostly in rural areas, which have an explicit food component also. While some of the programs, such as PDS, midday meals, etc., exclusively food security programs, most of the PAPs also enhance food security. Employment programs greatly contribute to food security by increasing the income of the poor. Gather detailed information about some of the programs initiated by the government which have food component. Hint: Rural Wage Employment Program, Employment Guarantee Scheme, Sampurna Gramin Roskar Yojana, Midday Meal, Integrated Child Development Services, etc. Discuss with your teacher. The National Food Security Act 2013. This act provides for food and nutritional security life at affordable prices and enables people to live a life with dignity. Under this act, 75% of the rural population, 50% of the urban population have been categorized as eligible households for food security. Current status of public the distribution system. Public distribution system (PDS) is the most important step taken by the Government of India towards ensuring food security in the beginning. The coverage of PDS was universal with no discrimination between the poor and the non-poor. Over the years, the policy related to PDS has been revised to make it more efficient and targeted. In 1992, revamped public distribution system RPDS was introduced in 1,700 blocks in the country. The target was to provide the benefits of PDS to remote and backward areas. From June 1997, in a renewed attempt, targeted public distribution system was introduced to adopt the principle of targeting the poor in all areas. It was for the first time that a differential price policy was adopted for poor and non-poor. Further, in 2000, two special schemes were launched, Antyodaya Anna Yojana and Annapurna scheme with special target groups. PDS up to 1992 universal issue prices is given here. Then RPDS, TDPS, AAP, APS, National Food Security Act. Everything had been included in this column. The poorest of the poor and indigent senior citizen respectively. The functioning of these two schemes was linked with the existing network of the PDS. Some important features of PDS are summarized. The PDS has proved to be the most effective instrument of government policy over the years in stabilizing prices and making food available to consumers at affordable prices. It has been instrumental in averting widespread hunger and famine by supplying food from surplus regions of the country to the deficit ones. In addition, the prices have been under revision in favor of poor households in general. The system, including the minimum support price and procurement, has contributed to an increase in food grain production and provided income security to farmers in certain regions. However, the public distribution system has faced several criticisms on several grounds. Instances on hunger are prevalent despite overflowing granaries. FCI godowns are overflowing with grains, with some rotting away and some being eaten by rats. Difference in food grain stocks in central pool and its stocking norms. Antyodaya Anna Yojana AAY. AAY was launched in December 2000. Under this scheme, 1 crore of the poorest among the BPL families covered under the targeted public distribution system was identified. Poor families were identified by the respective state rural development departments through a below poverty line survey. 25 kilograms of food grains were made available to each eligible family at a highly subsidized rate of 2 per kg for wheat and 3 per kg for rice. This quantity has been enhanced from 25 to 35 kg with effect from April 2002. The scheme has been further expanded twice by additional 50 lakh BPL families in June 2003 and in August 2004. With this increase, 2 crore families have been covered under the AAY. Subsidy is a payment that a government makes to a producer to supplement the market price of a commodity. Subsidies can keep consumer prices low while maintaining higher income for domestic producers. In which recent year food grain stock with the government was maximum? What is the minimum buffer stock norm for the FCI? Why were the FCI granaries overflowing with food grains? In 2014, the stock of wheat and rice with FCI was 65.3 million tons, which was much more than the minimum buffer norms. However, this remained consistently higher than the buffer norms. The situation improved. The distribution of food grains under different schemes launched by the government. There is a general consensus that high level of buffer stocks of food grains is very undesirable and can be wasteful. A storage of massive food stocks has been responsible for high carrying cost in addition to wastage and deterioration in grain quality. Freezing of MSP for a few years should be considered seriously. Increased food grains procurement at enhanced MSP is a result of the pressure exerted by leading food grain producing states such as Punjab, Haryana, Andhra Pradesh. Moreover, as the procurement is concentrated in a few prosperous regions in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and to a lesser extent in West Bengal, and mainly of two crops, wheat and rice. Increase in MSP has reduced farmers, particularly in surplus states, to divert land from production of coarse grains. It is the stable food to the poor to the production of rice and wheat. Intensive utilization of water in the cultivation of rice has also led to environmental degradation and fall in the water level, threatening the sustainability of the agriculture development in these states. The rising minimum support prices have raised the maintenance cost of procuring food grains by the government, rising transportation and storage costs of the FCI and other contributing factors in this increase. As per the NSSO report number 558 in rural India, as per the person per month consumption of rice has declined from 6.38 kg 2004 to 5.98 kg 2011 to 12. In urban India, the per person per month consumption of rice too has declined from 4.71 kg in 2004-5 to 4.49 kg in 2011-12. Per capita consumption of PDS rice has doubled in rural India and increased by 66% in urban India since 2004-5. The per capita consumption of PDS wheat has doubled since 2004-5 in both rural and urban India. PDS dealers are sometimes found resorting to malpractices like diverting the grains to open market to get better margin, selling poor quality grains at ration shops, irregular opening of the shops, etc. It is common to find that ration shops regularly have unsold stocks of poor quality grains left. This has proved to be a big problem. When ration shops are unable to sell a massive stock of food grains piles up with the FCI. In recent years, there is another factor that has led to the decline of the PDS. Earlier, every family, poor and non-poor, had a ration card with a fixed quota of items such as rice, wheat, sugar, etc. These were sold at the same low price to every family. The three types of cards and the range of prices that you see today did not exist. A large number of families could buy food grains from the ration shop subject to a fixed quota. This included low income families whose income were marginally higher than the below poverty line families. Now, the TPDS of three different prices. Any family above the poverty line gets very little amount of the ration shop. The price of APL family is almost as high as open market price. So there is little incentive for them to buy these items from the ration shop. Role of cooperatives in food security. The cooperatives are also playing an important role in food security in India, especially in the southern and western parts of the country. Cooperative societies set up shops to sell low priced goods to poor people. For example, out of all fair price shops running in Tamil Nadu, around 94% are being run by the cooperatives. In Delhi, Mother Dairy is making strides in provision of milk and vegetables to the consumers at controlled rate decided by the government of Delhi. Amol is another success story of cooperatives in milk and milk products from Gujarat. It has brought about the white revolution in the country. These are a few examples of many more cooperatives running in different parts of the country, ensuring food security of different sections of society. Similarly, in Maharashtra, Academy of Development Science has facilitated a network of NGOs for setting up grain banks in different regions. ADS organizes training and capacity building programs on food security for NGOs. Grain banks are now slowly taking shape in different parts of Maharashtra. ADS efforts to set up grain banks to facilitate replication through other NGOs and to influence the government's policy on food security are thus paying rich dividends. The ADS Grain Bank program is acknowledged as a successful and innovative food security intervention. Summary: food security of a nation is ensured if all its citizens have enough nutritious food available. All persons has the capacity to buy food of acceptable quality and therefore there is no barrier on access to food. The people living below the poverty line must be food insecure all the time while better off people might also turn off food insecure due to calamity or disaster. Although a large section of people suffer from food and nutrition insecurity in India, the worst affected groups are landless or land poor households in rural areas and people employed in ill paid occupations and casual laborers engage in seasonal activities in the urban areas. The food insecure people are disproportionately large in some regions of the country, such as economically backward states with high incidence of poverty, tribal and remote areas, regions more prone to natural disasters. To ensure availability of food to all sections of the society, Indian government carefully designed food security system, which composed of two components, buffer stock and public distribution system. In addition to PDS, various poverty alleviation programs were also started which comprised a component of food security. Some of these programs are Integrated Child Development Service, ICDS, Food for Work, FFW, Midday Meals, Antyodaya Anna Yojana AAY. In addition to the role of the government ensuring food security, there are various cooperatives and NGOs also working intensively towards this direction. So that's all about this chapter. If you are interested, please do like, share, and subscribe my channel. Okay, thank you.